Miss Pooja, can we start?
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am, I can hear you now. Can we start, ma'am?
Yes, we can start. How many people have joined in as of now?
Yeah, I think we have somewhere around 30, but I think participants are still pouring in. We are.
Okay.
I think we can get started.
Sure. So, first of all, I would like to say, yeah, please. Yeah.
I cannot see your face completely. I'm sorry.
Is it okay?
I will just, introduce about the webinar topic, and I will hand over to you, and then you can start it, ma'am.
Sure, sure.
Very good evening, everyone. All the students, all the teachers, parents, and principals. A warm welcome to our webinar series for today. Today's topic is Chase Adventure to Find Yourself. This topic is going to be presented by Miss Pooja Bajaj. She is the president of Pooja Bajaj Foundation. She is the sports and fitness entrepreneur. And thank you very much, ma'am, for sparing your valuable time to speak with all our stakeholders today on this today. So, ma'am, I think I want you to take this opportunity to present and talk about this topic and motivate good number of students and children. And every day we hear a lot from children about their interest in the sports. So we were looking out for a person who can really talk on this topic. And fortunately, we have you here today with us. So handing over to you, ma'am, to talk on this topic for today.
Thank you so much, Subramaniam sir and Rinku, who is not here as of now in the webinar, and all the people who are present. A warm good evening to all of you. So I would like to share my story with you. So basically, it's a story about a woman who makes people realize that never giving up is not an option. It's a story about a woman who makes people realize that life isn't meant to be easy, but it's meant to be lived. It's a story about a woman who rides with more than 85% of her right shoulder implanted with multiple titanium plates, screws, and balls, and an accident at 14,000 feet didn't stop her to pursue her passion of motorcycling. It is a story about a woman on which the doctors have told that she will never be able to be back on a bike in at least to an year or more. But she got back to bike in just 26 days. This story is about me. I am that woman. So let me begin and start sharing the story with you. The story is about resilience. The story is about grit, determination, never give up attitude. But I have to take you a little bit behind to make you realize that how important the tough circumstances become to what you are today. I believe that the words are very powerful. They can destroy you, they can inspire you in each and every way. For example, they call it adversity, I call it opportunity. They call it victim, I call it a survivor or a warrior. They call me a failure, I call myself a winner. Every struggle in the life which you have to go through, it shapes you in a person which is much more stronger than what you are. Sometimes similar thing happened to me a few years back. So I'll just make you rewind the entire thing. I was born in Lucknow in an absolutely middle class family where my father used to work with railways and my mother used to be a government school teacher in a school which was nearby. It was a very early phase of my life where I had faced a childhood sexual abuse. As an elder child of the family, I was very, very responsible, sensitive. But sometimes just being sensitive and being responsible doesn't help. The life wants to test you beyond a certain point of time. I clearly remember when I was in my 8th standard, in the month of mid August, the weather was extremely bad. Me and my brother came back from an evening play, and we were sitting down for having a meal. My mother was preparing food at that time in the kitchen. All of a sudden, she had a hard pain, a strong, harsh pain in her chest. She was immediately vomiting, and in no time, she was feeling breathlessness. My mom was preparing food with the hope that we all will going to come and have it. Things just change in a minute's time. I ran immediately to my immediate neighbor's house. There were some elderly aunties, who were staying there, who came rushing to look after my mom. The first question which I asked them was, "Is uncle around? Ya bhaiya ghar pe hai?" And the answer was no. There was nobody. There was no man around at that point of time. I went to another neighbor's house, banged the door. I asked if I can get any help. Unfortunately, at that point of time, that one of the uncle was not there in the house. Finally, when I went to the third house, I was relieved because I got a help out there. We were finally able to take my mom to the hospital on time, and mom became fine. But while she was in the hospital, I realized as a daughter, I was failing miserably. I realized that I should have been more independent. I should have been more self reliant so that next time, if there is an opportunity, or sorry, if next time, if there is a problem like this, I need to take care of my mom because my dad used to not to be, was not usually around. So sometimes these necessities pushes you to learn, to break the stereotypes and to learn how to able the adversities into an opportunity. So when my father returned from the tour, I asked him, I said, I would like to learn the scooter. Can you please teach me? And the answer was a big no. Staying in Lucknow at that point of time, it was just not easy for me to get an access to the motorcycle, to the scooter, to anything. Reason? First reason, there was a huge difference in my own family between a boy and a girl. So my brother used to always get more preference than me. But since I had already thought कि मुझे ये करना है, I want to do this, I want to learn the scooter, I had to do this. I had convinced my dad it wasn't working. I begged, I begged. I had some kind of commitments with him, promises, but finally, at the end of the day, he said yes. And trust me, I was not learning this scooter for my father, for myself. I was just learning the scooter to ride for my mom so that in case of any emergency, I would be able to take her to the hospital in the near future. So finally, with all the agreements which happened, I learned the scooter. It was quite easy for me because I was in the process of becoming a state gold medalist in cycling. I was into sports big time. I was an athlete at that point of time. So I learned scooter in span of few hours. It was kind of very tricky because I was short at height. My legs used to not even touch the ground, but I was determined to learn it. And all I knew is I just had that weekend to pull off this entire skill. So sometimes in life, necessity pushes you to learn new skills. In my case, this was the scooter. So as moving further, the weather is getting really bad here. I think the net will go. Can you hear me? Hello? Can I be heard? Am I audible? Okay. So, guys, the weather is really bad here, so the net is going off. So, anyways, the I managed to learn the scooter, and I know I was so excited. I was super happy. I was on the cloud nine. So later, whenever there was an emergency, I used to take my mom to the hospital or to the doctor, whichever thing was required. So after that, I moved. I shifted from Delhi. I shifted from an orthodox city, Lucknow, to an unsafe city, Delhi. Now, why I say unsafe? You all know why Delhi is unsafe. So when I moved to Delhi, I was definitely very much inclined towards the sports. I thought I need to toughen up myself. That was the only thing which I had in my mind. And at that point of time, the only goal which I had was to join an Indian army. I have, this is the only one dream which I had dreamt as a child. I grew up seeing this dream. So I kind of didn't get any kind of a support from my parents, largely from my father, to be honest, because this has been a kind of a taboo in our country. And it's in a lot of places, I still feel that if the parents would encourage the children to be more flexible, to be more independent, I think the children, the girls, the guys, they will going to bloom out of life like anything. So moving on further, as I moved to Delhi, I remember I was very much keen on the sports and I wanted to toughen up myself. What I did was I enrolled myself in the martial arts. I think this is the first thing which comes in your mind to improve your self-defending skills. I got a blue belt there in the martial arts. I also picked up boxing. I think that was very much required. You know, when you are staying in a city like Delhi, you want to be perfectly fit so that if there is any kind of a calamity comes to you, if anybody tries to act smart with you, you should know, especially girls, how to give it back. That second thing. And the third thing was I got enrolled myself in the NCC, National Cadet Corps. So this was all happening while I was graduating. Apart from that, parallelly, I was very much keen on learning motorcycles. I clearly remember that my uncle used to have a bike, an RX 100 at that point of time. And I didn't know how to ride the bike. But all I knew is I want to learn this. So I went to my uncle and asked if he could teach me. And he was very sweet and he asked me, okay, you know, you can learn. This is how you need to switch on the engine and this is how you're supposed to put on the gears and that's how it will go. So since I already knew how to ride a scooter, learning the bike was a kind of a cakewalk for me. I learned it. And then I thought, okay, I should be having my own bike. But coming from a middle class family, I knew my father was going to say a big no. It was something which was next to impossible to ask him to give me a bike. I mean, had my brother would have asked, he could have easily given. But I'm asking a bike was a big no. So I thought, but still I thought, okay, let me give a shot. So I asked, I said, can you please help me or buying a bike or can you gift me a bike on my next birthday? And I was like, how can you even think like that? So I was like, okay, I realized it. And I thought, what should I do next? So, as whatever skills I knew at that point of time, be it martial arts, be it giving tuitions, everything I put into action. I monetized each and every skills I had. I also worked in McDonald's selling the burgers right in the front. So I did all of that and I earned an amount of around 55,000, which was sufficient enough for me to buy a second hand bike at that point of time. My second hand bike was a Pulsar 180cc. Anybody who would be into biking would know this is a very, very popular bike in India. So I started my journey with Pulsar 180cc. When I got the bike, I got the license, everything. Convincing at that point of time my parents to go on a ride was very, very, very challenging. But thankfully, I had few friends around me who used to ride regularly and they were family friends. So I was allowed to go for a smaller distances to begin with. So initially, when the parents found, okay, the girl is coming back fine in all the bones and everything in the pieces, and she is riding responsibly, things were changing. I was able to gain that trust from my parents. So while I was riding, I was also riding as a responsible rider. It was just not pure riding. So I started with group rides initially. So since I was staying in Delhi at that point of time, I started to cover places which were nearby, like Agra, Jaipur, Mathura, Vrindavan, short distances. And gradually, when I realized that, okay, I think I can go on for a solo ride. And that's where I thought I should be putting up my skills if required, since already I already knew the skill of martial arts. I was a blue belt. I knew how to fix the bike. I know all the DIYs. I know how to change the tire and everything. Since I already knew all of these things, since I was learning it while I was going on a group ride with my friends, it I had that kind of a confidence to go on a solo ride. Was it difficult initially? 100% it was difficult. Nothing comes easy, and the first step is always very difficult. So while I was going on the group rides, I realized I started with like 100 kilometers going solo, then increased it to 150, then gradually to 200, then 300, 400, and then doing days together. And that's how I covered the entire 25 states of India riding solo. So I've been out for days. And it was not like immediately I did it. No, I'm not kind of that kind of a person who just who just crosses the highways and who just crosses the states and say I've done this state. No, I've covered that state fully, and every covering of the state requires a lot of patience, a lot of time. So it never happened immediately. All of those things. So everything happened at its own sweet time. Mowgli, I'll answer your question a little later if you can just type it. So as I was going, okay. So and that's how my journey towards the motorcycling started. From group rides to becoming a full-fledged solo motorcyclist. Okay, the weather is really bad here again. There's a lot of lightning which is happening in Bangalore as if now. So if you're staying in Bangalore, you would know that it's a very, very bad weather since morning. Okay. So my thirst of adventure, so I had done Leh Ladakh twice. Okay. So again, that was one time it was solo. The second time I went with my friends. So my thirst of adventure took me to Spiti Valley. Spiti Valley in Himachal Pradesh in 2019. In June 2019, it was a good 12-day long ride. Things were going beautiful. The Spiti Valley itself is such a gorgeous place. Every few kilometers, the entire scene changes. It's more of a thing which you have seen only in the movies, but to have an experience, you need to go to that place. So my Thursday adventure took me to Spiti Valley in 2019. Now, 10 days, 9 days, things were going fine. Now, on the 10th day, when I was just about to reach my last destination, 20 kilometers before that, I had a life-threatening accident. An accident at 14,000 feet. And in that accident, my entire collarbone got crushed into multiple pieces. My bone fragment got stuck into the thoracic region. There were multiple dislocations of my shoulder. And I was at a place where there was no medical facility, where there was no medical backup, no ambulance, nothing. The nearest hospital was around 75 to 100 kilometers from the accident point. But it took me much more longer because we couldn't even rush the car because I got shifted to a car at that certain point of time. I was not able to ride the bike after this accident. It was all internal injury. My head was saved, thankfully, because I was wearing the helmet, and the helmet was extremely powerful, which helped my entire skull and my face. So I was wearing all the safety gears. They were still, some accidents are very strong that they really impact your body in a way that there is a lot of internal injuries which happen. So when I reached the basic government hospital, which was around 100 kilometers, the guy out there didn't even have uh, the medication for this particular injury. I was given few shots, some paracetamol and some these kind of shots, but it was just not working with this kind of and injury, and I was in a terrible pain, an excruciating pain which was just not ready to leave me. It was so bad. And that bone fragment which got stuck into the thoracic region, had it been in some typical position, a different position, I would have choked to death at that point of time because it was just in between the thoracic and the chest region. So while I was at the place where there was no medical facility, it took me almost 4 days. So the nearest hospital, the basic good hospital, was in Chandigarh. Now the Chandigarh from that particular place was around 48 hours. But for me, it took much longer because first of all, there was no there was no, airlift at that point of time, which was not available. There was no transport, which was not available. So that's the reason things got very stretched and a lot of time was getting wasted. And I had the realization, what if I lose on time, because I didn't know how severe the damage it was inside. All I knew, it was a big damage. And all I knew was one thing, that I need to go to that place and I had to be dependent on people at that point of time because I couldn't drive. So even while I was coming down, there were a lot of landslides which were happening. I saw a landslide, and there was a motorcycle, and I think there was a motorcycle couple which were in front of me, some like 100 meters away from me. There was a landslide which happened, in which the rock came from down and his entire neck got cut, and it went down it. And I was just 150 meters at that point of time. So these kind of things happen when you go, when I had gone on a ride, on an adventure, and while I was coming down with a shoulder which was completely gone. So when I reached Chandigarh after say uh, 4 days, on the fourth day, yes, I reached Chandigarh. And on reaching Chandigarh, the doctor there was not sure enough to handle my case because of the bone fragment which got stuck there. So he said, I'm not very sure, if I'm able to take that piece out or not. I had no option because since there was no confidence coming from the doctor, I had to fly down to Bangalore. That's where I currently stay. So when I flew down to Bangalore, only on the fifth day, my surgery happened. Fifth night, I reached here. because again I was not getting flights from Chandigarh directly, and a lot of we had to take a lot of formalities and a lot of authoritative letters from the Chandigarh hospital, because since it was an internal injury case and a certain altitude would might impact, they have like there has to be some medical protocols which needs to be followed. So any which ways, so when I moved to Bangalore on the sixth day, my on the fifth day, my surgery happened only on the sixth day. And after the surgery, I remember the doctor told me it will be around, say, 5, 6 hours, but it took much, much, much longer because due to the delayed treatment of my shoulder, things have gone bad. So they need to normalize it. They need to, whatever their medical procedure it was, they had to follow that. And it took almost 8 to 10 hours for the surgery to get completed. And I remember I was still in the I was still in the operation theater and under the anesthesia effect. The first question I asked the doctor was, "How soon can I get back to motorcycle?" Without even realizing what has gone into my shoulder. So I remember my doctor just smiled and he said, "You will be fine. Just don't worry." But when I was out, I came into my room in the hospital. I got to know that more than 85% of my right shoulder is implanted with multiple titanium plates, screws, and bolts. And with all these conditions, sometimes, a lot of times, the patients go into PTSD, which is post traumatic stress disorder. And the doctors told me that it was going to take me at least 1 year, or sometimes not even a possibility, to be back on road. These were the words of the doctor. So I came back to my home on the fourth day. And on the fourth day, in the afternoon, I came back. My mom took the keys of the bike and she said, "No more riding, just forget it and just sit at home. I think you've covered a lot of India, whatever you want to cover. It's already been done." So for me, taking that moment which I felt was taking the bike key from me was as if like my wings were being cut. That's what I felt. On the fourth day, as I said, this has all happened. In the fourth evening, say around 7 o'clock, I literally dragged myself to the gym. So, being an athlete, I've always been a person who believes fitness is a top priority. So, I dragged myself to the gym and I looked myself in the mirror and just had tears in my eyes and said, "What is something which I can do with my body?" My upper body part was totally immovable, but my lower body part was working. All I did was some 3 to 4 squat in the first set. Second set again, it was some 5 squat, and that's how the third set happened. And that's how, for the first time, I took the lift and came back to home. Because the gym was on the second floor. I came back to home. But for me, that on that particular day, taking this first step was so important because I always believe that first step in life for any adversity or any kind of a trauma you have been, if you take the first step in a right way, things will be okay. And that's how I was telling my mind constantly about the same thing. And after that, I took one corner in the gym where I was working out in a very, very slow motion, like a turtle. But I was having that corner. I was just raising my hand. I was not even given a physiotherapy by my doctor because I think my doctor realized it that this girl will going to be back in no time. So, in no kind of physiotherapy was given. But whatever exercise was being told basic by the doctor, I was just following that, but very, very, very religiously. So by the end of 9 days, I was able to, walk in a proper way. I was getting that momentum in the body where I was able to cover few distances at stipulated times. I used to make these goals. Okay, this is what I have to do today, and this is how I have to take care of my diet. This is what I'm supposed to eat. I have to be high on the protein diet and a lot of other things. I was making a proper schedule for that. Now on the 10th day, I thought, I think I am gaining that energy, I will be able to ride the bike. So I got, so I called one of, there was a new bike which was launched in the market, Expulse at that point of time, 150cc. So I thought, okay, let me just try it out. Expulse 150 or 200, I don't know. So I was, since I was like, I was just, you're not able to straighten up the handle of the bike. Now Expulse is supposed to be a light bike, I said, ये तो बहुत light bike है, ये तो मैं आराम से चला दूंगी. But then I was not able to put the handle straight. It was only at that point of time I realized something major has gone wrong with me and I need to fix it up first. So after that 10th day, I became even more focused. I strategized my entire workout, everything, whatever I've learned in my life, I'd put everything into that. And by the end of 26 days, I was riding a motorcycle, a Duke 200 at that point of time. But it wasn't easy after that. So after that, my entire journey again restarted from the scratch. When the way I had started how to learn a bike, I went back again to the same roots. And again, I learned it. I said, okay, this is I need to put in the place. I need to increase the CC of the bike. I need to increase the distance of the bike slowly and gradually. And that is how my return happened to the bike. So by the end of fourth month, I was riding 500 kilometers per day. Okay. And by the end of 6 months, I was riding a 1200cc bike, a Harley Davidson bike across Goa. So this was the entire journey from 0cc to 1200cc in just 6 months. So if I would have listened to my doctor or the negativity around me, I wouldn't be able to ride that bike. I had I always believe in life there are two options. One, either you swim, second, either you sink. I would have listened to the doctors, to all the negativity. I would have been lying on the bed, getting into the depression, getting into all kind of negative thoughts that I am useless, I can't do anything in life. But what did I do? I strategized everything. I learned from my failures, not the recent failures, but the failures which I had gone through all across my life. I learned through that. And that's how my journey coming back towards the bike happened. And this has all happened very recently, and I've been riding since. So I've been doing some 600 to 700 kilometers per day now. I'm an endurance rider. So all these things just doesn't happen. These are the adventures, and sometimes, adventures comes with a lot of risk, with lot of unseen dangers which you don't know in life. So now this has been my journey and this has been my outlook of my life. So I always believe that you must have courage. Hi, can you listen me? I think the video has gone. Hello.
I can hear you, ma'am.
Okay, all right. So for me, I always believe, like we should have the courage to seek adventures in life because, and you need to live on your own terms. For me, I'm not talking about the adventure in say mental adventure kind of a thing, but I'm talking more about the physical adventure. And that is what kept me going. And that is where my passion has come from. So adventure doesn't just happen like that. I mean, any adventure which you go in requires a lot of planning. And when I say planning requires a lot of goal setting. I mean, goals needs to be big. For example, if anybody wants to climb a Mount Everest, the person just cannot take up the trek bag and just go. There has to be a lot of training. There has to be a lot of planning before that. Because these goals are because why do I say the goals need to be big? Why do I say that these goals need to be big? Because when the goals are big, they tend to change your behavior. And that is what really matters at certain point of life. So, for example, you don't have to motivate yourself to change your behavior. It just comes from within if you are seeking any kind of an adventure in your life. From my own experience, I can tell you that if you have a courage to chase any kind of an adventurous goal, it will going to improve all the areas of life, be whether you are studying or whether you are into some kind of a job or any kind of sphere of life you are in. Suppose if you're a housewife, for example, and you have like a certain goal, कि, okay, I have to climb this, I need to do an Everest base camp. You can do that. So if you have like goals, it will go to automatically everything will go to come in your behavior. You tend to become more disciplined. And of course, in terms of health, I don't have to explain you what is the benefit for this, because your body and mind, all these things, it definitely going to keeps you fit and more focused and healthy. So I always believe in one thing that, when you have an adventurous goal in your life, you don't have to look outside for inspiration or support from anyone, because that particular inspiration is just inside you. For example, if anybody wants to climb a Mount Everest, he would not seek a support. I'm not talking about the financial part of it. Even that can be taken care of. If you have a certain goal in your life, you can follow some kind of a side hustle. You can do some kind of an hobby and you can earn out of it, and you can support your adventure or a sport, any kind of a sport in your life. Like for me, I have got admission in my college in Delhi University on the sports quota. So for me, sports has played a huge role in my life, being a state gold medalist in cycling. So when you go, for example, if you when you go through any kind of a process of chasing an adventurous goal, whatever it could be, everybody's journey is different. Like my goal will be different to yours. My adventures will be different to yours. For example, I'm into motorcycling. For you, it could be cycling. For somebody else, it could be swimming. Or for somebody else, it could be climbing an Everest. I remember 2 years last year, last to last year, I went for a Kalawantin Durg trek. Nobody asked me to do that. But I went because I realized, okay, I should be doing this. This year I'm planning an Everest base camp. So, but I need to prepare my body for that. I need to prepare my mind for that, because am already an injured person. I already have, a shoulder which is completely gone. I don't have even, 60% of my shoulder, no, 60 to 65% of my shoulder don't even have the sensation right now. So I'm just trying to say that when you go through that process of pushing your boundaries, what happens next is something amazing. And this is what it happened to me. Like I became more self-aware of myself. I knew what I wanted from my life. I knew I was able to understand myself more, and more importantly, I understood my capabilities more than anything else. So accordingly, you can make your life choices. That will going to make your life more fulfilling rather than anything else. So has been my journey, and this has been my journey, which has been quite fulfilling according to me. But I urge one thing from you all, see, whatever one thing that you are putting your focus on, please don't make an excuse out of that. Because once you make an excuse today, it will turn into a regret later. So that is something which you need to understand. So I just want to give you, as since I think I'm left with the 10 minutes, so I just want to give you few of my life lessons which I've learned in life. First of all, I consider myself as a resilient being. I am quite a resilient person, and you can develop these mindsets of a resilient person by developing growth mindset, if you have heard of it. Because if you have a growth mindset, you will be able to try a different strategy. You will have a desire to learn. Second thing I would like to say, now nobody is born resilient. Resilient is something which you need to come up with. You need to develop that skill over a period of time, just the way you develop your confidence. So if you combine the pain and the reflection, that is how you will going to see the progress, because pain is expected to come on, let's admit to this. You will going to expect any kind of a pain, any kind of an accident or a trauma, but if you put the reflection into it, you will going to turn your entire thing into a progress. Third thing which I would like to say, that if you're a resilient, if you're a resilient person, you should have a realistic approach towards a situation. Like for example, when I came to the gym on the fourth day, in spite of all the bandaged and everything, I didn't go and did a push up. I didn't do that because I know I'm going to put a lot of damage to it. But what I did was, I was like, okay, what is something which I can do best with my body at that point of time? So all I did was just squat. So you should have a realistic approach towards a life. Resilience mindset जो होता है, that helps you to build a new identity. So what I was before the accident is not what I am after the accident. I have become truly a different person, and this person is much much more stronger than you can even think of. Second thing, last thing which I would like to tell is, the you should take calculated risk in your life. I am See, there is a difference. There is a difference between an adventure and a risk. Adventure is something which you need to plan. For example, if you're jumping from the cliff, you need to wear a parachute, and then you just jump off for a bungee, or for a paragliding, or any kind of a sport at that point of time. But if you will not going to take that safety precautions and you're just jumping like that, it will not going to it will not going to take you anywhere, unless and until some hospital, or these kind of places, which I don't want to say it. But you have to put your brain, so you have to put a calculated an approach towards any kind of an adventure or any kind of a situation in your life. So this has been my story, and I hope that I have given you few learnings, and I hope there has been some kind of a takeaway from my story. And if there are any questions, I would love to answer it.
Thank you very much, Pooja ma'am. I think your life is truly an inspiration to many of the students and many of us. I think, as you clearly articulated, pursue your passion and strategize, in order to pursue your passion in case of any obstacles. Like in your case, you have come across an accident, very severe one, and you have worked through that obstacles, and slow and steady way, and you have overcome, and you had belief on yourself, and then finally you could achieve what you wanted to. And as you told, and resilience, and over a period of time, continue to pursue, continue to work on, continue to work out such a manner to achieve your goal. I think it's truly indeed very great inspiration to all of our students. I hope many of our students would have got inspired to take a leaf out of your life. And
yes, it's extremely important to step out of your comfort zone. Remember, guys, I just want to say one thing, that life has a limited time. We all have come with an expiry date, and especially when you're on the road, when you're into any kind of an adventure, we don't know what happens next. So safety is extremely very important, which I always talk about it. But at the same point of time, you should not be putting yourself under a boundary that's, okay, I will do it after 5 years, I will do it after 10 years. No, work towards it. If you want to climb a mountain or anything, you should start working towards it. And this is a rule which goes in each and every sphere of your goal, be it your studies, be it your job, be it anything, or be it sport. For me, I know how much I have worked hard, for being a state gold medalist in cycling. Please go and see my TED talk. You would know what is the story behind becoming a state gold medalist. Nothing has been easy in life, and nothing comes easy in life. All you have to do is put your focus, put your passion. Whatever thing you have in your life, you need to be passionate about it. And please come out of your comfort zone, explore the world, explore the beautiful things around you. Don't be just sitting and taking uh, everything which is coming in your way. You have to be out, and this is because if you will out, you don't know what is the benefit which you are doing to yourself. You will be totally a different person. So you need to be out of your comfort zone, and this is what I tell all the people. Instead of wasting time on the YouTube watching unnecessary crap, because a lot of cringe content which is available on the YouTube, you need to be very much focused on your goal. Like, for example, if you want to learn, say, martial arts, you should see, okay, what is something which I can pick from the YouTube which is helping me to very go closer to the goal. Nowadays, we don't know, we are not having too much of physical sessions, because of the COVID. But being an internet is a huge advantage right now, and you can do a great job of picking up skills. So upskill yourself, upgrade your skills. Don't waste time in your life. Life is too short. You don't know what happens next. I mean, I survived that accident. I think I was pretty lucky enough, but not everybody is lucky. So you got to be very careful.
Thank you very much, ma'am. And I request if any of the participants would like to ask a question, please go ahead and put out that question in the chat window or raise your hand so that you can directly ask the question to the speaker.
Thank you, Dr. Vinita, on behalf of parents. Thank you so much. Ma'am, where are you from? I'm from Bangalore, staying in Bangalore right now, but originally from North, Lucknow and Delhi.
Okay. I think, Vanita ma'am, please go ahead with your question. I think you wanted to ask a question.
Yeah.
Please go ahead.
Yeah. I'm very inspired by your journey, ma'am, and you have been a motorcyclist.
Thank you,
So
ma'am.
I just want to ask, like, for a layman, like a common person who is like who drives in the colony, but for a common person like me, I find it very difficult to drive in between the cities. The riding is so rash, so the fear pops up. So it is totally contrast to you have been like a PhD of motorcycling and a common person. So how can like we overcome the fear, and then at least for the common thing, like what kind of tips would you give for a common person to drive for a normal ride?
So, ma'am, what do you drive first of all? You drive a car or you ride a scooty?
Two-wheeler.
You ride a two-wheeler.
Yes.
I just want to say one thing, that the fear, this is something is all here.
Yes,
it's all
yes.
here. So if you think, see, ma'am, one thing you have to understand is you have to trust yourself. So if you trust yourself and you are following all the safety measures, you need to keep on upgrading your skills. For example, if you are riding today in the colony, is something which is a comfortable zone for you. So you need to step out of your comfortable zone. So it could be a little bit more, like just coming out of your colony and taking that extra 5 kilometers after that colony is the beginning point for you. So if you start doing that, you keep on increasing the kilometers, you can start going into the marketplaces, wear your helmet, be on the right side of the road, and don't skip any traffic signals. I'm sure you will not going to skip it, but other people around you. So when you are on the road, I always tell people that, because I'm also working for the road safety after my accident very religiously, I always tell people, the eyes should be on the road. There should be no distraction when you're on the road, because if you are riding safe, you are driving nicely, you don't know who comes and hits you from behind. So for that day, for that, not for, अगर वो position, वो situation नहीं आनी चाहिए, उसके लिए आप क्या कर सकते हो, आप अपने आप को प्रिपेयर करते हो. सपोज इफ यू वांट टू गो फॉर लाइक से 50 किलोमीटर्स फॉर अ राइड, आप अपनी कॉलोनी से आपको निकलना पड़ेगा मैम. तो ये आपको, ये है ना, ये अंदर का सेल्फ कॉन्फिडेंस होता है. एंड आई ऑलवेज से कि कॉन्फिडेंस सबके अंदर होता है, बस वो अपने आप को पुश नहीं करते. अगर आप थोड़ा सा पुश करेंगे ना, इतना सा, आई एम श्योर नेक्स्ट टाइम whenever I'm having a live session with you, you will be riding all across. So it is just about coming out of your comfortable zone. मेरा एक्सीडेंट के बाद भी मुझे कई बार ऐसे लग रहा था कि what if somebody comes and hits me from the back, but all I trusted was my own skills. मुझे ये पता था कि मुझे बाइक चलानी आती है, मैं अच्छे से चलाऊंगी. I will be 4 times careful when I will be on the road, because at that point of time things were different when I was just recovered from 26 days. So जब मैं उस सिचुएशन में ऐसे कर सकती हूँ, तो मैम आप तो बिल्कुल सही सलामत हो, आप तो कर ही लोगे, ऐसी कोई बात ही नहीं है.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. I think there is one more question. This is from a parent. How do you motivate yourself every day?
As I always say कि motivation ना मेरी story से आपको इतना सा मिलेगा, and if you hear any kind of a talk, if you see any kind of a TED talk anywhere and you hear all these people, वो आपको इतना सा मिलेगा. पर जो असली motivation है वो आपके अंदर है. And the only person who can inspire you is just you, nobody else. So आपको अपने लिए कुछ goals ऐसे बनाने पड़ते हैं life में कि मैं ये कर लूंगा. जैसे फॉर एग्जाम्पल, जैसे मैम ने बोला कि अगर फॉर एग्जाम्पल इफ मैम वांट्स टू गो टू 50 kilometers on her bike, on her scooty, and if she is able to complete that, automatically she will be self motivated. So agar if you keep on achieving those smaller goals in your life on the daily basis, you will going to get the confidence, and automatically you will start feeling so happy, so exhilarated about yourself. And also one more thing, there is something which I believe in, is the gratitude. आपको gratitude होना बहुत ज्यादा जरूरी है. whatever you have, you're supposed to give it. आप अपने साथ कुछ मत लेके जाइए, please. It's extremely important. I always believe in giving. I always believe in helping, and it is the karma. It always comes back to you. So whatever I think the teachers are the biggest epitome of being such a high degree of gratitude in them. So my hats off to all the teachers and people who are running the institutions. They are the biggest example of they showing the gratitude. So अगर आप मोटिवेशन की अगर मैं बात करूं, वो सिर्फ आपके अंदर है, बस आपको थोड़ा सा ढूंढना है उसको. You have to just look for it.
Okay, thank you, ma'am. And Arjit, please go ahead with your question.
Yeah. Hi, Pooja, ma'am. My name is Arijit, and I'm into soccer. So just wanted to know. I'm into soccer. Means I'm a sports teacher over there.
All right, soccer. Okay.
Yeah. So I have two simple questions for you. How do you, which one you give more prioritize, mental fitness or physical fitness? The reason being that there are a lot of boys and girls who doesn't have that much physique, but I consider if they have that mental strength, they can fight to it. So do you think my understanding is right, or you can add to it? And my next question would be,
Let me answer this.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay. So mental fitness and physical fitness, they go together. They are like this. आपने अगर मेरी स्टोरी पूरी ध्यान से सुनी है, you would understand that when I was totally knocked down in the accident, और जब मुझे 6 days लगे थे वापस पहुंचने में बैंगलोर, मेरी सर्जरी 6 day पे हुई थी, the only thing which kept me going was my mental fitness, mental strength over here. ओके. एंड उसके बाद मैंने फिजिकल फिटनेस पे आना शुरू किया. बट डिपेंडिंग ऑन द सिचुएशन, अगर आपके पास कुछ प्रोविजन नहीं है, तो आप मेंटली स्ट्रेंथ को सबसे ज्यादा प्रायोरिटी देंगे, मेंटल फिटनेस को सबसे ज्यादा प्रायोरिटी देंगे. एंड अगर मैं बात करूं फिजिकल फिटनेस की, अगर आप लीन है, आपका स्ट्रक्चर थोड़ा सा भी लीन है, you can start having a good diet. Second, you can just go running. Even you don't need any kind of an equipment. You can just go out and run. If you're in a sport, you can buy, I mean, like you're into soccer, you can have a ball and you can just start shooting it. So I always believe both the things go hand in hand. दोनों पे एक साथ अगर आप काम करते हैं, then eventually आप एक कंप्लीट स्पोर्ट्समैन बनते हैं, एक कंप्लीट एथलीट बनते हैं. दोनों पे काम करना बहुत ज्यादा जरूरी है, simultaneously. I hope I answered your question, Arijit.
Yes, ma'am. And another small question. See, this question is not for cities like Hyderabad, Bangalore, or any core cities. Means how tough is it if a boy or girl is from a small town city and wants to take up as professional like riders or getting into a profession like you are there? So how tough is it to convince parents and get into this? Considering that if they are from small town city.
I understand this because I myself have been stayed in Lucknow, which was a smaller city, a small city. It's tough. It's tough. Let me be very clear because वहाँ पे जो parents की जो mentality होती है, it's much more different as compared to people who are staying in the cities. They think, I tell you, parents think कि the child is just wasting money if he's getting into any kind of a sport, be it motorcycling, could be anything. But at the same point of time, if you really need to convince your parents, you need to start proving yourself that, you know what, I can do this because there is a side hustle. So you need to pick up any kind of a side hustle which can support your passion, which can help you. Say, for example, giving tuitions, like what I did was I gave tuitions, I monetized all my skills, and that's how I earned a bike for myself. I gifted a bike to myself. Nobody else did it. And I was working from it since my 12th standard. So I started to work very early in my age. So अगर आपको लगता है कि parents अगर convince नहीं कर रहे and you are very clear that this is your focus in your life and you have to get this. So then you have to work 8 times towards your target. आप उसके पीछे काम करना शुरू करिए. Just getting into riding is not sufficient enough. You need to buy gears, you need to buy safety gears like helmets and jackets. Plus, nowadays, the fuel is so expensive. You need to buy a bike. A decent bike would cost easily around, say, 1.5 lakhs to so on and so forth. उसके लिए पैसा कहाँ से आएगा? The पैसा will going to come from your side hustle without your studies being disrupted. I will tell you something. I had appeared for UPSC. I had given my UPSC exam. I've cleared my mains because my father didn't. I cleared my combined defense services exam. My father didn't allow me to join army because I was a girl in the family. That was the only reason. I had cleared CDS. And later on, I wanted to get into IPS. I got through UPSC. I got through the mains, but I couldn't clear the interview. So I had to drop off. That's the only regret I have in my life. So I have always given a lot of importance to studies. I've done my MBA from Delhi. So studies, working needs to go side by side together.
Thanks, ma'am. Thank you. It answers my question. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, ma'am. Any other questions from anyone? I think that would be all from our participants today. Thank you very much, Pooja ma'am, one more time for taking a session and talking about your life and your life experience. And it was very, very, very useful session. Hopefully, when time permits, we invite you to our campus to have a one session face to face. That would be a lot more helpful for us.
Where is your school based? I forgot to ask that.
It's based out of Hyderabad.
You based out in Hyderabad. Okay. I completely understand. I was just in Hyderabad 15 years back.
Okay.
So Hyderabad is absolutely a wonderful city. And people here are very, very nice. I had a lovely time. I've been entire Andhra. I've also stayed in Vijayawada for a few months. I have started to learn a little bit of Telugu, which is now is just gone off. But yes, people are very nice. People are very, very, very beautiful out there. So I would like to say thank you to Subramaniam sir and to all the people who have invited me and to the students and parents who have joined in. I hope the session was useful and helpful in whatever way it is in your life.
It's our pleasure. Thank you very much, ma'am.
Thank you so much.
All. We'll conclude today's webinar. Thank you all. Bye-bye.
Bye. Thank you.